Record. Welcome everyone to today's mentorship meeting. We're going to be covering how to teach English reading to your students. And I think this is supposed to be lesson 1.2. So we've already covered some of this content, but just we're gonna have some nuanced stuff and everything, and new activities and stuff. So looking at the agenda for today, we're going to look at introduction, reminders, then how to teach reading generally, and then we're going to look at a sample lesson before closing it off with resources, and I will open up the breakout rooms. Okay. For our reminders, it's the same stuff. Make sure tutors, you are required to attend at least one mentorship meeting a month, and your country directors are supposed to be the ones to record that. I also want to emphasize the need for country director attendance here as well. As you can see, like there's only like 16 or so participants here today, which is obviously not the entirety of the country director and tutoring crew, which is fine. But I really think it's important for country directors to communicate with their tutors the importance of attending these meetings for this presentation and for your check-ins during the breakout room time, and also the importance of communicating to your tutors about attendance with mentorship meetings. Other than that, the APP masterclass is live. For country directors, the new magazine is recruiting. I don't have the link in the presentation, but it was in the last core team meeting slides presentation. If you're interested in that at all, make sure to sign up. I'm not sure if tutors can apply to be in it. So don't, you can just ignore me for now if you're a tutor. And then for tutor policies, please see pages 10 and beyond of the APP info document for the policies, and a tutor contract must be turned in to your country director, I believe, before you start your first tutoring session, or tutoring will be terminated, but I'm sure most of you already know that. To get into generally how to teach reading, we're going to look at an introduction for reading. We'll be talking a lot. Introduction for reading. Reading is a cognitive, in your mind, process that involves decoding symbols, your letters, to arrive at a meaning. It's an active process of construction, of constructing meanings of words together into sentences and so on. Reading with a purpose, so not just like taking in every single word, reading cognitively, so that you understand the whole text in chunks, helps the reader to direct information towards a goal, either understanding it, answering questions with it, going to speak about the text, etc., and focuses their attention. What skills are needed to learn how to read? The need to know the different sounds in spoken language. So the tutor needs, not the tutor, the student needs to know the different sounds in a spoken language, so phonetics, to be able to connect those sounds with written letters in order to decipher words, so the alphabet. And it also requires a deep background in vocabulary knowledge in order to understand the words that they read. How should a student improve their reading skills? Set aside time to read each day. Determine, oh, I'm skipping ahead. Set reading goals. Preview the text you read. Determine the purpose of either the text or your personal purpose in reading it. I think this focuses more on the purpose of the text though. Apply key reading strategies that will be addressed within class that the student will hopefully be taught. Take notes and annotating while you read, and apply what you read by summarizing. Again, that relates back to that whole idea of reading with a purpose and constructing the meaning of words together. Okay. Reading content per frequency level. Novice should include simple stories that outline basic forms of sentences such as verbs, subjects, etc. Intermediate, start getting into lengthier reading passages such as chapter books that remove visual aids. And we'll get more into visual aids later because I don't think you should entirely remove them immediately. Definitely when you get to the more advanced settings, you should, but visual aids are very helpful at points. For advanced, introduce series of books that are popular and are something they've read in their own language. So I think this is more, you can probably introduce passages from the novels in other texts, or you can provide these like the information regarding them, not the physical book, but provide them to your student as an external source of reading. Just like in the last slide, it discussed how it's key to practice reading every single day. And then finally for superior, your student should be able to read difficult pieces of literature and can analyze the philosophical meaning of them or attach meaning to the story. So a lot of the time with superior level texts or content, you'll even see it in other areas of English like speech and grammar and such. Your student will be looking at a lot of like academic philosophical stuff with attached themes and interpretations to them. So keep that in mind for your higher level students. For lesson development, over the course of your curriculum, your daily lesson, so on, you're going to start off with having your student understand the reading or performance task. Performance can be like a skit, it can be speech, it can be anything relating to a reading passage that we'll get into in the samples and tips. 2, review or skim text for the main idea. You can relate that back to the slide for the introduction where it says like preview the text, like this is what it's interpreting, like review it, skim the text, kind of understand generally what its themes are and like its content, its subjects. 3, read for comprehension and a deeper meaning, fully read the text, annotate, take notes, everything, answer the questions. And then finally, compare different parts of text and reflect on the text personally, professionally. So personally to yourself and professionally to you, the tutor, or to the questions that they are answering, either verbally or written. Okay. Some tips or strategies. A lot of these are related to you, the tutor, instead of the student. So a lot of this is like tips for what you could do in class, like activity stuff. So the first thing to keep in mind, and I mentioned this before with the visual aids, instead of just doing strictly like the naked passage and with no visuals at all, and comprehension questions like fill in the blank, stuff like that, especially for the lower frequency level students, try utilizing more pictures during quizzes, practices, worksheets, etc., that are presented alongside comprehension questions in practice one that you'll see, or presented at the beginning of classroom. Start discussing about a topic before reading it. Oh, okay. You'll see in the optional video, you can, a lot of teachers tend to start a class out with presenting visuals or pictures of a subject, and have their students like either discuss with partners or discuss their thoughts to the teacher, the tutor, about the pictures and what they like know the meaning of it to be. And usually these pictures will serve as an introduction to what their reading will be on in later on the text. And you'll see like this is for you can use this very, like you can use it for lower frequency level and higher frequency level as well. And then for live recreations, again, this is a very specific activity. This is essentially saying after reading a passage, you can have your student create a skit surrounding it, just to further like demonstrate that they have comprehended the passage, and just interpreting their understanding in different methods than just like writing down an answer or talking to you. Hunt for comprehension. So this is the idea that you can try applying like treasure hunting to reading passages. You could, there's two immediate ways you could do this. The first is you could start with clues to crucial information within the text that lead to answers to the comprehension questions or a quiz later down the line. Or the second, you could develop a text with clues to real world treasures, quote unquote. A lot of this is based off of a specific web page that I linked in the speaker notes within the presentation. And the way they talked about it is like you like put like candies or treasure within the classroom, but obviously you guys can't do that. So you could try being more creative about it, like relating it to real world treasures, like culture wise, like you could say celebrities or monuments, or rewards that you have prepared that aren't physical, like candies or toys or stuff like that. And the last one is solve the mystery. So this relates to using mysteries, like short mysteries for reading comprehensions, and having your student focus on cause and effects in tracking the course of events. You could make comprehension questions for this, etc., but you could also have them create cause and effect maps, which are linked in the slides, and I can show you what like an example of this like mystery comprehension will look like in one of the practices later in the presentation. Okay, moving on. These are the videos. The first one is sample class structured around reading. So both of these are like videos of a physical classroom where there's a teacher and students sitting at a desk. The first one, the sample class structured around reading, is obviously fake. Like it's not live footage, but it shows you like a sample setup of what a class structure around reading would look like. It's the exact same with the second one, but it's a real class, and it has like sometimes like the footage pauses and it tells you like what section of the class you're in, or like added notes for the class. And yeah, these are just useful videos. There are more videos in the resources as well later on. Okay, going into the sample lesson for 1.2 reading. The lesson plan, section 1, giving practice reading section, probably a smaller one, and comprehension questions for the students to answer. Or as we did before, you could provide visuals and speaking prompts, etc. Section 2, review the answers from the comprehension, or you can discuss the text with the student, giving tips on how to read, interpret the text better. Again, it's that idea of letting your student do the work independently and then coming back together once they have fully completed it, or like in the past we've talked about speaking, fully accomplished the task, and then giving your criticism. And then section 3, apply tips on an example passage of reading, assign homework, remind the student to exercise what you demonstrated in the lesson. Okay, practice 1. So the first one here with reading comprehension, this is more of an example of kind of using visuals just to like give a little more context to the class. Like, let's say your student doesn't know the word beach or summer day or sand castle, they can kind of interpret it from the picture, and just have that extra crutch for vocabulary that they don't know. And then the second one is an example of a mystery comprehension, like we talked about. And just, it provides you, I think, yeah, it provides you with like a text. I think it's continued, so it's cut off. But I just wanted to show you some examples of what you can do for comprehension. For this one, I think it just did like identify words in the text, which I think are in the word bank, and identify with like synonyms that are listed in the numbered list. So that's an example of a comprehension setup that you could use. Or you could do like actual multiple choice questions, written response, like it does in the first example. Okay, and practice 2, it's the same stuff. This is 4th grade level if you want to utilize it. So it's more elementary stuff. And yeah, this just has written response based upon the text, and it's just to show you like what a real life practice is that you could use within your lessons. Okay, wrapping it up, we are going to look at some additional resources and assigning homework and stuff. So assigning homework, the most like common route for homework is to assign worksheets with reading comprehension questions. I don't know why it just says reading comprehensions. That's so odd. Reading comprehensions. This can be extended to web pages. So there can be websites that I've seen in the resources in particular, where it gives you a block of text and then it gives you like an interactive multiple choice within the web page. So it's not just a picture of or a PDF of a worksheet. And then based off of slide 8, which was the tips slide, you can have your student create a skit surrounding the text, or with the mystery one, they can develop a cause and effect map, etc. More like innovative ideas that you can do for homework. And yeah, these are the resources. Activities, like worksheets and stuff that I like addressed with the practices, along with more creative ideas for activities, and then content info. There's not much there. I think there will probably be more added resources added later, so you can check in onto this slides whenever you need to use it, and there'll hopefully be more resources in here. Or of course you could just look at the general curriculum, which has a lot more resources. And then videos, these are just a couple more videos that I found about either live classes or just talking about how to teach like ESL classrooms and reading, etc. And that's it. So I will open up the breakout rooms. Let me pause my recording.